Outstanding. Welcome, 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 everybody. We got three guests here. Three of us are from New York and New York City. I'm actually in the frozen tundra of Buffalo. And then we have our three international, let's just call it long distance guests. Gladys is coming to us from London. Magali is coming to us from the Paris area, and Jackie is coming to us from the San Francisco Bay Area. Okay, so this issue that we're dealing with is a worldwide issue, and it requires a worldwide response. And I'm wonderfully delighted to see that that's what's happening tonight. Okay, so tonight what we're talking about, we're calling it From DEI Layoffs to Digital Liberation, Building a Career That Cannot Be Canceled. So let me just jump right on into this. All right, who do we serve? Uh-oh, somebody's knocking on the door. That's Leslie. Come on, Leslie. Uh-oh. Let me let her in. Okay, she's here. All right, Leslie. Are you here? Can you hear us?
Yes. Hello, everyone.
All right. We are recording this, Leslie. So you're in the San Francisco Bay Area as well. So Jackie is your compatriot now.
Hi,
We got we're stretching wide, halfway around the globe. Okay, we got Paris, France in the house. We got London, England in the house. And now we got the two of you from the San Francisco Bay Area, and there's three of us from New York State. All right, so you're right on time. We were just starting the presentation. Hey, there she is. All right. Yep. I'm letting the world see you. And then she ducked out again real quick. But that's okay. We know you're there now. We know you're not AI. You're actually a human being. All right. So who we serve? We serve people who, well, as a matter of fact, I can actually bring it up on the screen so you can see it yourself. Okay, we're serving primarily Black women who were brave enough to work in the DEI space, have been pushed out of the workforce, and more importantly, had their reputation smeared. Okay, so we actually have two fundamental audiences. One is military veterans that are transferring into civilian life. The other is basically civil service folks that I'm describing here. All right. The reason we're focused on the DEI space right now is because of this market that was just dropped into our lap by the administration. And the fact that not only have these folks' careers been interrupted, those that have been laid off or even, afraid that they might be, but because of the smear that's been put on their names and reputations, it's causing their careers to go into reverse. Okay, they're sitting around, they're frozen. The question on their mind all day long is, what do I do now? Okay, because if they've been working in diversity and inclusion for the last 10, 20 years, how do they put that on their resume now that the letters DEI have been made toxic by this administration? Okay, so I see an awful lot of talk about 600,000 Black women in America being pushed out of the workforce and all this assault on their careers and whatnot, but I don't see anywhere near enough being actually done about it. Okay, it's fine to talk about it and commiserate about it, but what are we doing? Okay, and of course, the universe just kind of dropped on my shoulder and said, ding, that would be you. And since I was already in position to do that, working with the veteran side of the house, okay, I've been doing that since 2010 and being an Air Force veteran myself. So working on mid-career transition it runs in my blood by this point. Okay, so when he dropped this audience, this market right in my lap, and did it with the absolute worst timing you could possibly do. He announced this huge layoff smack in the middle between Martin Luther King's birthday and the start of Black History Month. And I'm sitting there going, you can't be serious. Nobody's that stupid. But okay, let's do this. All right. And so we've been actually putting this machine together ever since then. And now with this January coming up, we're ready to rock and roll. And I'm going to show you how we're doing that. All right. Okay. So the market, this is the first thing. Okay. And, as I've talked with a couple of you before in the past, in order to be successful in any business, the most important thing you have to have is not your product. It's not even your timing. It's not your distribution system. It's not your qualifications. It's not your CEO. It's not your background. The most important thing you have to have is a hungry audience. Okay? And we have got a hungry audience. Okay? Nobody's hungrier than somebody who just lost their job or is thinking they might be about to be. All right. The key, though, is we got to catch them quickly before their situation gets into emergency status, and they typically don't have a lot of support around them, these folks that work in the DEI field. As a matter of fact, a lot of the people in their friend and family circle kind of think of them as traitors or sellouts. So they're not really rushing to their support. They're just waiting for them to, get a job at Family Dollar somewhere and make a minimum wage, right? So the number of people in that field that were laid off, and we're just talking civil service and military here, is 2.2 million people, right? 600,000 at least that we know of are Black women, and 685,000 of them are veterans. And we're not talking about the skinhead boys. We're talking about folks like me that were trained and understand the value and the power of diversity, of people from different backgrounds working together for the same goal, right? And that doesn't even include what the corporations are doing, right? And that's where the diaspora and our folks overseas get involved in this as well, because this is a worldwide problem now. This is not just an American problem. All right. The challenge that we face is actually threefold. First, as I just showed you the numbers, there's too many people for me to think I can serve by myself. There's too many people for all of us to serve by ourselves. But we're setting up to get our share of the market and actually get a hold of this thing, because we're not thinking small here. We're not playing small ball. This thing has the potential to be huge, and I want us to be in the front of it. I want us to be setting the standard. So as I talked about earlier, the most important thing is having a hungry audience. We've got that. We've also got the time limitations. I'm not ashamed to admit I have done all kinds of things to try to get more than 24 hours in a day. I've tried going without sleep. I've tried not eating. I've tried not having a family. I've tried doing all kinds of stuff. I just cannot get more than 24 hours in a day, no matter what I do. All right. And I know Leslie's shaking her head. I know you hear me. All right. So there's only two things you can do when you have that situation, and it's called leverage. Okay. You have to establish leverage. In other words, duplicate yourself. And you do that in two ways. One is technology. We got it. The other is multiply myself by bringing on more people who see the same vision. Okay. Gladys, you giving me that look. You got a question? All right. Okay. Welcome back, Jackie. All right. So, and the third part of the challenge I mentioned earlier is the need for speed. Okay. We want to get on this and get a hold of it and get control of it before the boys with the deep pockets wake up one day and realize what we got hold of. Okay. And that will happen. Okay. This will not be a blue ocean forever. And now is the time to strike. Matter of fact, as far as I'm concerned, we're a bit slow. I would have loved to have been doing this back in February. Right? But you'll see this is a huge operation, and it took a lot to put all the pieces together to get to the point where we are now. Yes, Gladys. I saw the question on your forehead. Okay. All right.
You saw a question on my forehead?
Yes, I did.
I don't.
You were like, hmm?
Oh, sorry. Well, don't worry about my face. I'm just taking it all in.
Okay. All right. Well, this is interactive. Okay. It's not a webinar. It's a conversation. So I'm not going to have you, press one, and all that foolishness. I don't get into that. But I am watching everybody very carefully, and I am attuned, okay, to who I'm speaking with. So, if you do have a question, raise your hand or click the raise hand button or whatever, get my attention. This can be a conversation. It doesn't have to be a lecture. Okay?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we understand what the problem is. Here's the solution that we're proposing. We have put together, most times when you deal with some webinars and offers and different things like that, people are coming from one angle. They have one thing they're trying to present. What we're doing is what we call the Pivot with Power system. And that's a 4-pillar process. And I'm going to show you exactly why that is in a minute, okay? But it is specifically designed to help our members make the first decision they have to make, okay? And that decision is to get past this idea that what do I do now means I've got 100 paths in front of me, and how do I choose what to do, okay? First thing we do is we break it down to, look, you got three choices, three and only three. The first is you can land a better job. The second is you grow a side hustle with the job. And the third is you can step out and go ahead and launch your business, okay? And whichever one of those three they choose, we have the resources, the technology, and the skill set in place to assist them at achieving that goal much faster than they ever would on their own. Okay? All right, let me go ahead and answer the first question real quick. And that is, who is this guy, Lance T. Walker, and why should I listen to him? All right. It's because I was born in 1962. I'm part of a generation that is right now invisible, people don't know about. And that is folks that were born around 1959, 1963. We are not baby boomers. We're told that we're the tail end of the baby boomers. There's this one guy out in San Francisco Bay Area called Pontel is his last name, and he calls it Generation Jones. But he doesn't understand what Generation Jones really is. He thinks it's white students who are experiencing angst from the Leave It to Beaver era and going into the civil rights era, that they were feeling, insecure about themselves. No, that's not what was going on. What happened was in 1954, we had the Brown versus Board of Education decision where the schools were designated to become integrated, that segregated schools were considered unconstitutional. Okay, so by the time I came along in 1962, a lot of school systems were finally getting around to actually implementing that. And what that really meant was putting Black kids on buses and shipping them off to white schools and telling us, okay, if you sit down next to white kids, their goodness will rub off on you and you'll get to be smart. Okay, that's basically what integration or desegregation was all about. And by me growing up in New York State, I did not get the cameras that people like Ruby Bridges got down in Louisiana, with the people throwing rocks at them and all this kind of stuff. I didn't get the TV cameras, I just got the abuse. Okay, but the thing was, I wound up, by the time I was done as a freshman in high school, I wound up being used to desegregate not one, but 4 different school systems, okay? 2 public and 2 private, okay? And those 2 private, one of them was a Catholic school where I was for 5 years, and that's the picture you see here. This is 2nd grade, okay? I was the only chocolate chip in the cookie, and I had to not only learn to survive, but try to figure out who I was in the process. Fortunately, because of my intellect, I was insulated from a lot of the stereotypes and a lot of the things they wanted to throw at me. I didn't have to worry about, oh, Black people are stupid. They knew I wasn't stupid. I was at the front of the class all the time. As a matter of fact, that was on pain of death. Those were the orders from my grandparents. Okay, I come home from school, Mommy, what's a jigaboo? What's a spear chucker? And the only answer she would give me was, don't you worry about it, Lance, just keep your nose in those books and keep getting those A's. Okay, so that's what I did. I didn't know why I was doing it, but that's what I did. And so that first half of my childhood was what you see on the picture on the left there. Okay, that's how I see my first half of my childhood. Is you get invited to Thanksgiving dinner, but you get told you have to stand outside and look through the window. So the end result is you're there, but you're not really there. Okay, so that I didn't understand what reality was supposed to be through that experience. Then when I was 12, my mom came back and brought me and my sisters back home to the east side of Buffalo, to the hood. Okay, now I have the whole world turning upside down on me. And now instead of getting beat up for being too Black, now I get to get beat up for being too white. Okay, why do you talk so proper? Where'd you come from? All right. And learning how to survive and get my quote unquote Black card, learn my D's, 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 and Do's, okay, became key to my survival at that point. So during those years, I thought the universe was just trying to drive me crazy. Because I couldn't understand up from down, what was right, what was wrong. But in later years, as I maintained my determination to figure out what was going on and what I could do about it, what I discovered was this was a superpower, because now I can see things through both sets of eyes. Okay, I know why these guys feel the way they feel, and I know why these guys feel the way they feel. Okay, and I also understand the depth of the challenge that, basically both sides are half right and half wrong. That's the problem. And that's why we can't come to any kind of an agreement, because it's much easier to see the other guy's wrong than it is to see what we're doing wrong. All right. And so we just keep focusing on what the other guy is doing wrong. But I can also see what the other guys are doing right, both sides. So I'm able to draw the best of both. And that's what puts me in a position. So when people say, well, why should you listen to me? Or at our meeting this afternoon, the question came up, how can you define why should a person listen to me as opposed to listen, to anybody else? What makes me unique? This is it. I had a split life, okay, and my entrance on the world stage provided me with a perspective that, not a whole lot of people have. Now, those that do recognize that, and especially folks who wind up working in the DEI field, okay, that seems familiar to them. They understand, as we saw earlier, this whole idea of walking into the wolf's den and asking the wolf to be nice and act civilized, okay? A lot of people don't understand what it takes to do that. They don't understand the courage that it takes, okay? I do. I understand thoroughly. But I also understand that when the mask went on in 1968, okay, there's a lot of, any of you guys that are under age 55, I'm going to tell you just blunt straight up what it is. Of course you're confused. Your whole life has been a lie. Okay? Ever since 1968, when Dr. King was killed, the mask went on. And they told us that the civil rights movement was a success. You guys won. You changed America. You changed the society. And all that racial stuff is in the past now. It's not that way anymore. And if you guys would stop talking about it, it would go away. You're just being sensitive. You're overreacting. See, I know all the playbook because I was there when it happened. I saw when it happened. Okay, so all these years, anybody that's been born after 1968, now when these big giant DEI layoffs come down and the political situation changes, so many of these folks are stunned into paralysis because they don't understand where all the hate is coming from. What happened? I grew up with these people. Why are they so mean all of a sudden? Okay, but those of us from the 60s generation, the integration generation, we know what's going on. The wolf's always been the wolf the whole time. All right, so this is not a surprise to us at all. So we're in a position to be able to help folks make that next adjustment. So having gone through that split experience as a child, one of the things I learned, I had the gift of gab growing up. They like to use the word articulate, but I learned that it's much more important what you listen to than what you say. I learned to keep my mouth shut for the most part until I was sure about what I had to say, because I needed to be able to stand behind it and I needed to make sure that it was accurate. So that ability to understand the power of different demographics working together is what led me to the Air Force. And as a radio technician, that was the perfect job field for me. And as you can see, back then, that was when they pretty much soldered the headphones onto my head, and they've pretty much been there ever since. So now with the podcasting thing and the video thing like now, it's totally natural to me. Okay. But the thing that I want to stress there is I understand that it's much more important to listen than it is to talk. So I listen a lot before I start talking. And I can talk a lot being a seminar speaker. So I listen a whole bunch. All right, next stage. Defining the pivot with power system. What is it really about? As I said earlier, it's a 4-stage system. It's 4 pillars. Every good movie, every good story that you hear is composed of these 4 elements. Okay, and so for us to get folks to the promised land, whatever it is that they want to achieve, you remember the 3: new job, side hustle, or business of their own, they're going to have to go on what we call the hero's journey. And what makes us unique is we're not just focusing on one part of that journey. We cover the whole thing. All right. So the first pillar of the hero's journey is the mission. Okay, that's more than I got to pay my bills. That is, what did you actually come here to this planet to do? Right? And in terms of our diversity folks, obviously changing the face of corporate America is not the thing they came here to do because they ain't having it. Okay, so the question becomes, what are you here for? Because that's what's going to drive people. That's what's going to make your feet hit the floor and get out there with the aggressiveness and don't hit the snooze button to make the change happen in this world. The second is you got to have a strategy. Okay, not just I'm gonna do whatever comes up next. How are you going to get from where you are to where you want to be? Okay, you need a coordinated, well thought out strategy, and you got to have contingency, backup plan. What happens if things don't go the way you expect? Because we know the attacks will come. Life happens. Things get thrown at you. So you got to have plans in place for contingencies. The third stage is the comprehensive tools and weapons kit. You got to have your tools and your weapons because you got to be able to protect yourself when the alligator shows up or the wolf, and your tools to help you build what you're trying to build to get to where you get. Fourth is committed. What's this? That was quick. All right, Kayvon. Teammates. Okay, you got to have folks that will be there for you when you need them most. And the biggest problem that we have, especially in America with Black-owned businesses, is over 94% of us are solo entrepreneurs. Okay, we're sole proprietorships. We're out here swinging in the dark like ninjas, being heroes and whatnot. And this is the way we're coming across, we're coming at this, and that is this. Superstars win games. Super teams win championships. And that's what we're about. We're about the championships. Okay, you guys are awfully quiet. Feedback to this point. Anybody got anything to say?
Well, just kind of, can we get to it? What's the value proposition? Why are we here? You went through that really well. So your system you're talking about, what is it for us in terms of monetization and how does it work? Can we get to that?
All you gotta do is look at the screen. That's exactly where we are. Okay. This is the value proposition. This is the revenue streams that we have set up. What we're doing is next Wednesday is when we close it down because we'll have the 10 by then. We're creating a mastermind group as a leadership team to run this membership site. The membership site is called Grown Folks Computer Club. The emphasis is on grown folks. Okay, we use the computer club because we're bringing digital independence to people, but we're also flying underneath the radar because we know we have enemies out there. And we want them to think that we're just a few geeks out here playing around on the keyboard and they don't have to worry about us. So we're flying below the radar, okay, while we reach the people that we need to reach, the ones that they want to throw away and not consider. All right, so there's 4 initial revenue streams. There's more, a good bit more, but these are the 4 main ones that we start off with. When you first come on as a member of the mastermind group, the first thing you get is the 50% rev share on all the club memberships that you bring in. Okay, and we've got it set up so you don't have to be a salesperson. All you got to do is share your personalized link, and I'll show you what that looks like later on. Okay, and when people come in, you get 50% of the dues that they pay, recurring. The second is what's really our lead it's our point of the spear, or as our European friends would call it, the point of the sword, and that is the Power Pivot Accelerator. Remember, I told you it's a 4-pillar system. What the Power Pivot Accelerator is it's an intensive 4-week program process that we put folks through, because we know when you're dealing with folks that are looking at their job situation, they're not looking for a 6-month or a 9-month process. Okay, they want something that's going to happen and happen quick. So we put them through a 4-week process. That the first week, and I'll show you this again, I'll show you this later. The first week is the mission. The second, and we've got mastermind members that are already lined up. We've already got our primaries. Okay, so Dr. Felisa, she handles that first one, the mission. She's all about purpose and dealing with secondary trauma and all the, I mean, the woman is incredible. But that's what this is about, bringing the best of the best together. The second stage, the strategy stage, that's my stage. I'm the primary on that. Okay, because that's my background. That's what I'm bringing. And then what's the third one? The toolkit. That would be Natalie, who you see on the screen. Okay, Natalie is an AI specialist, and she's got tools and business capabilities that make people think she's a lot older than she is. And then of course the fourth one is the team, and that's all of us. Okay, so as they're going through this process, they're being introduced to us. We are mentors. We don't refer to ourselves as mastermind when we're talking to the members. We refer to ourselves as mentors. Okay, so the first revenue stream is the club memberships. The second revenue stream is actually the lead one, because they can get into that for a lower price. It's a 4-week program. It's an intensive for $497. And we also know that in a program like that, a lot of people are going to, they're going to do the hourly meeting, but then the homework that they have to do in between, a lot of folks they're not going to do it because life happens. Okay, maybe they got to deal with soccer practice or taking care of a parent or whatever. So what winds up happening is once that 4 weeks is done, then they come back and say, that was great. I need some more of that. And then that leads into the club membership, and we give them credit for the $497 that they paid for the accelerator program. All right. Am I making sense? Okay. Yeah, y'all staring at me. All right. Okay. Now, okay, cool. The next two are more co-branded, working together. Okay. We're bringing the cream of the crop together. So we know that when you guys come in as part of the mastermind group, you already have stuff going on. And that's good. We want you to have stuff going on. We want you to bring that to the table with you. Okay. So we create the co-branded webinars so that we can help you move more of what you're selling. Whatever product or service you're already committed to, we're bringing members to you. Okay, you're bringing folks in. The other mastermind member groups are bringing folks in, and everybody is cross-pollinating each other because they need everything that we're bringing in. The podcast commercials, everybody gets a podcast. Some of you already have podcasts. I love the ones who don't, because we help you get your podcast started, and the first thing we do is we interview each other. So we build content for everybody's podcast. Okay, everything is being brought in one spot. Okay, that gives people a complete system to get from where they are to where they want to be. All right, this is just a visual so you know what it looks like. This is the storefront, okay, the forward-facing join page for the members. Okay, not us in the mastermind group. We're a different situation. This is for the club members. All right. And it's got a video at the top. So it's a sales page basically. And we know that most people don't read sales pages. So the video is there. I'm basically telling them what's already there for them to read. They can follow along if they want, or they can just watch the video. Okay. This is breaking down a little bit more the Power Pivot Accelerator program. As you can see, week 1 is the power reset and clarity. That's the mission. Okay. What are you actually here for? And by the way, I'm going to send you guys, I'm going to post in a second the link so that you can actually go to this page. Okay, so you don't have to wait for me to email you the slides and all that kind of stuff. You'll be able to just go right to this page and it's there. Week 2 is the strategy development. Okay, again, I'm the primary on this one. Week 3, and you see you got your goals. They already know going in what they're looking to accomplish. Week 3, the LinkedIn branding and resume power moves. That's part of the toolkit that we talked about. Okay, and AI is the secret weapon when it comes to that. We are all in on making sure that we get in on this AI thing so that we are part of the development of it and not getting run over by it. Okay, and then of course week 4 is where we give them a complete career pivot power plan so they know what to do, and that's all of us. That's the team. So that's practicing what we preach. Now, not going to spend a lot of time on this one, but I want to just expose it to you, see what's happening. Every one of you guys has a promotional network already that you're doing. Okay, it might be an email list, it might be social media, it might be your podcast. You all have that. Well, this is what we're bringing. Okay, this is the footprint that we're already bringing to the table. And the idea is, as we pull this mastermind team together, Okay, we're halfway there. We got our first 5. Now we're working on our second 5. Just imagine this amount of reach to the power of 10. Okay? Because everybody gets access to everybody's network. Everybody's promoting each other's stuff. Okay? Because the monetary goal is, again, with the practice what you preach kind of thing, the first monetary goal is to reach 10,000 a month through this channel, each of us. Okay, so that's what we're working on with the quickness, and yesterday is perfectly fine. Right, and the big reason for that is because when we bring these members in, that's the path we want them on, because we're defining financial freedom as having your bills paid without having to take on an extra job. Okay, if you know when you put your feet on the floor in the morning that your bills are already paid, now you can take risks. You can build that business. You can maybe hold out for a better job. You can do things that you ordinarily wouldn't be able to if you have financial pressure on you. And so the easiest way to convince people that we know how to get them to $10,000 a month is if we're doing $10,000 a month. We got to be able to practice what we preach. So we're very serious about that, and we're hardcore, and it's actually, it's already in the process of happening. All right. This is the partnership structure. Very simple. The buy-in is the membership in the First and Goal Mastermind. That's it. And what it's basically designed to do is you put 1 in, you get 10 out per month. Okay, I'm going to show you in a second what that means. The second one is the bonuses that come along with it. The pro level website. Some of you already have websites. We already have folks that they have a website, but guess what? We're building them a second one because it approaches a different market. Okay, and the whole science of web development, that's my bailiwick. That's my hardcore right there. The GFC membership, you get the membership at the platinum level. Now, let me explain that real quick because I'm going to show you in a second. There's 3 levels: silver, gold, and platinum. Silver is for job seekers, gold is for side hustlers, and platinum is for business builders. Okay, then you have 3 levels of that. They can come in monthly, they can come in annually, or they can come in as a lifetime member. So it's 9 ways they can come in all together. And then, of course, immediate access to all the resources, promotion, and revenue streams that I've been talking about, and what's inside the actual club. Okay, the club is loaded. But here's what we understand. When it comes to memberships and resource centers like this, people come in for the content, okay, but they stay for the community. And that's why I'm building our mentor team before I throw the doors wide open. I'm actually holding people off right now that want to have membership because I'm promising them mentorship assistance. Okay, so when they spend their money and they come in, it would be nice for me to have my mentors in place. And that's what this is about. That's the stage that we're on. All right. So, okay, Lance, how much is this going to cost? This is the seed money that we're talking about. Okay. $9.97 is the buy-in. You can break it down into 3 payments of $3.99. What it boils down to is this. We know that one of the biggest issues with Black businesses succeeding is first that they're working alone, but second is that they spend everything they've got creating the product, building the technology, getting everything in place, and when everything is all said and done, they don't have a marketing budget. Okay, what this does is this 10 of us putting in $9.97 a piece gives us a $10,000 marketing budget, and we don't do advertising. Okay, it's not like you can buy a list of veteran spouses or soon to be laid off DE representatives and just send them an email or send them an ad. Doesn't work that way. Okay, you've got to be, and I'll go through the system here in a second, but it's things that people don't even consider that we've learned over the decades of how you actually go about reaching people and building membership lists, not lists, but membership members. Things like directories, most people don't even think about. Okay, you think that Yellow Pages doesn't exist anymore because it doesn't show up on your doorstep. Well, yellowpages.com does $3 million a year just in surface advertising. That ain't even the heavy stuff that they come after you with. And most people, they have no idea. They don't use it. Okay. There's hundreds of directories. We know what the top 20 ones are that you need to be on. And we make sure that not only are we on those directories, but you are too. All right. And that's just one out of what we call the Foundation 5. All right. So bottom line, basically what you're looking at is you throw 1,000 in the pot and you come out with 10,000 a month as a result of that. Okay. Because you've got so much working for you for that 1,000 that you wouldn't have otherwise if you were doing it on your own. The benefits of teamwork. All right, let me just wrap this up, tell you what we talked about. The first two income streams. This is what the Power Pivot Accelerator page looks like. Now, as we talked about, the price point is $4.95. Remember, that's a 50-50 split on everything we do. All right, you can put your own video here. So those of you that are running your own programs already, this is a great place. Okay, the whole idea is this is designed not to be something extra that you have to try to add to a plate that's already full. That's not what this is. This is not about going wider. This is about going deeper, okay, so that you can reach more of the people that you want to reach while doing less effort and having other people helping you at the same time, okay? And basically, you're just hiring them for that $9.97. Excuse me. So we can put a video here. If you don't want to, that's fine, not a problem. Okay, but we give you that opportunity to put that there. All right, next one. Okay, this is, I showed you the top part of the club page earlier. This is the sign-in section. Okay, and as you can see here, okay, this is the silver, and you see yearly or $99 a month. So basically, when they come in, they're getting 2 months free if they get the yearly. All right. And you see here, this is the job seeker role, and they get a free one-page, what they call a personal website, okay, to help them with their job seeking. And we give them a tool in addition to their LinkedIn profile, and we teach them how to use their LinkedIn profile, okay, in a way that gets them off the unemployment lines faster. The gold level is $14.97 annually, or $149 a month. Again, if they go annual, they're basically getting 2 months free. And all of these that you guys bring people in at, remember, you're getting 50% of this. And every time they pay their dues, you get another 50%. All right. The platinum level is $2.99 monthly. This is for the business builders, and that comes with the free 4-page pro level business website, which is a $2,000 website by itself. Okay. And we want you to have the whole thing here. We want you guys coming in with platinum as a gift to you, because if you're in at silver and you bring somebody in at platinum, then you can't mentor them because you're below where they are. No. Everybody cross trains. Everybody gets the benefit of the bonuses and the different resources that are in those levels. Okay. And so the idea here that I want you guys to see is right off the bat, your ROI is a no-brainer. Okay. You put in $9.97, and immediately you get an opportunity to make $250 per sale on the flagship, and you get a $3,000 membership for $9.97. Okay, can't make it any more of a no-brainer than that, but we do. So, just to review again real quickly, it's a 4-pillar system. We take them through getting their mission and understanding what they're here for and how they get motivated to drive for what they want to help change the world and change their world. Pillar number two is the strategy. How do you get from where you are to where you're trying to go? Okay, with contingencies. What happens if something goes wrong? Pillar number 3 is your toolkit. You got to have your technology. You got to have your AI. You got to have your weapons and your tools to keep you safe on that journey. And then pillar number 4 is the team, which this one for me was the biggest one, was the last one, because I was so busy out there being a hero. You know, I actually moved to San Francisco in 1998 to be part of the .com boom. Okay, and lo and behold, when everything went down the tubes, you know, I'm sitting there, I made it to the mountaintop, and I'm looking around at a whole bunch of faces that's looking at me, acting like I shouldn't be there and being all hateful. So when I, you know, decided to go ahead and back down after the .com crash and reinvent myself and you know, redevelop what I was already doing so that I could come back stronger, my determination at that point was, you know what? next time I reach the mountaintop, I'm not coming by myself. Okay, I'm coming as a team where we look at each other and we smile at each other because we know we belong there. That's the motivation behind that. All right. This has happened since our last meeting. I can't even tell you how proud I am of this. Carter Rankin is an international best-selling author, and his whole thing is it's time for Black people to go on offense. That the reason we keep winding up in this same position is because we're constantly playing defense against the things that are coming against us, and that it's time for us to start going for what we know. We've done it before. Okay, building Black Wall Streets and you guys in California, I know you know about Allentown. Okay, all these different places that folks don't talk about that have disappeared into history because we would build things that were on our own for ourselves, and then they would show up and bulldoze them or burn them down or poison the water, okay, or reroute the railroads, doing all these different kinds of things. Well, now the thing that they think is going to destroy us is the thing that can actually save us, and that's technology. Okay, we have a chance now to build something they can't burn down, and that's what this is about. And having these international connections is going to allow us to grow in ways that we couldn't if we were in just brick and mortar and can't get past the borders. Okay, so the second part of this is the one that I was really happy that Carter did for me. I didn't ask him to do this. We were just talking about, just like you and I are talking right now. And he said, what you're doing with Pivot with Power is necessary, not just emotionally, but strategically. There's a whole cohort of professionals who need a reset, a reframe, and a route forward that doesn't depend on corporate mood swings. I respect the mission and the direction you're moving in. Keep pushing. And that's what we're doing. All right. So having said all that, this is an excerpt when you sign up. And like I said, I'm sending you the link. These buttons will be active on that page. So you have this entire page. And if I can actually find it, I want to send it to you guys. You guys can go ahead and read that while I figure out what I'm doing here. There it is. The chat. All right. Come here. Here and send there. Okay, so the link is showing up in your chat. I will also, this is all LinkedIn crew here. Okay, it's just not mixed with Facebooks and all these other different lead sources. This is all Facebook folks. I mean, all LinkedIn folks. So I will be also sending that link to you through LinkedIn. All right, and that, my friends, is that. Yes, Gladys.
Amazing, thank you. I appreciate the introduction. I'm going to duck out now because obviously it's after midnight here and I'm just putting it together.
Natalie's in Paris. She's an hour ahead of you.
Yeah, so you're a better woman than I am.
Well, I appreciate both of you guys coming from across the pond.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Nice to meet you.
Thank
nice
you so
to meet you too.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to drop out too. Thank you for this presentation. It was very informative.
Okay,
I wish you all the best. I'm not able to commit to something like this now, but I would love to hear about your progress and how you move forward.
Oh, you'll definitely be hearing.
All right. Wish you all the best.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Take care.
Nice to meet you too.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay. Any questions, you guys?
The information will be sent to our LinkedIn pages or
Your LinkedIn inbox.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Outstanding.
Yes, thank you so much for this presentation. It was very interesting.
Excellent.
And I'm looking forward for more information and to receive the presentation to look further in order to see what can I bring to the table and how can I help for this program and for this investment and mission too.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Correct.
All right. Okay.
And
Well,
Thank
Lance,
you.
sorry, Kavan also left his LinkedIn on,
oh, you did. Okay.
yeah, but I could also send it to you.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, he wants the information because he was only able to come for half an hour, he said. He originally
Okay.
told me.
Yep. Yep. And yeah, and as you know, the when I'm doing the one-on-ones, I actually have gotten it down to a half an hour.
You've done better this time.
Hey, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. All right.
Thank
Okay.
y'all.
All right, you guys. I'm gonna
Nice
give you
to
back
meet
the
you
evening.
both.
Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Talk to
Bye.
you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.